Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Tania, your nutritionist and fitness coach here with Fit Nutrition. Super happy to come live to you here in the group on Wednesday. Welcome to Fit Nutrition Podcast. So today I'm just going to double check, make sure that we're streaming. Oh, yeah, we're streaming into the group. Yay. This is awesome. Always want to make sure that I'm streaming where I think I'm streaming. All right. So today's topic, we're going to talk about healing and recovery, and if what you're doing is actually helping, moving you forward to do that faster and more effectively and get more gains, if it's recovery from the gym, or are you actually hindering what you're doing? And I've had a couple of conversations this week with different people in both camps. So, healing from sickness and then also recovery from gym workouts and that. So I've had a couple different conversations, and a lot of it, there's a lot of similarities between the two as to what we can do or what we should be doing in order to make sure that we're getting the gains and we're getting the value out of what we're doing. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, it's got a couple of notes here. Yeah. All right. So let me know where you're watching, where you're coming in from. I'm up here in Kelowna, BC, Canada, for those of you that are new to the group and don't know. And I come on here live every week doing a podcast about things that are important to you, things that I've talked to people about, things that people have reached out to me asking. And if you have any requests or you want to, think that there's a good topic I could do a podcast on, please either message me direct or drop it in the comments here, because I'd love to hear it, because this group is for you and all about the things that you need. So let's dive in. Okay, so today, as I said, we're talking about healing and recovery. So healing from maybe an injury or an accident or a sickness, things like that. And there's a lot to be said for, and I can speak to this regarding a few years ago. I had I've had two car accidents over the last 9 years. Fortunately, none of them were super serious, but they did knock me back, and they did keep me out of the gym. They did keep me, not doing the things I'd like to do for, a couple of months at a time. And then there was a bit of recovery and things like that. While I was recovering, in order to do that faster. And it's interesting because people always say, well, how do you know if I do X, Y, Z, how do I know that I'm actually healing faster than if I didn't do that? And really there's, you're not twins, right? So there's not really a way to just have the two of you, one does X, Y, Z and the other one doesn't, and then you measure them. But we know that anytime we're recovering from something, we've had an accident, an injury, a sickness, an illness, we've overdone it at the gym, things like that, then there's a bit of inflammation involved. And so we need to remove inflammation from our bodies. So an anti-inflammatory protocol is what I call it. My chiropractor calls it the same, and I remember that when I went to the chiropractor after my car accident, the first thing that they did, I called to make an appointment. And the first thing, I got a text from the gal at the desk saying, remember, anti-inflammatory protocol. And then she listed everything. And I was very grateful for that, because sometimes when you're in the middle of something, you forget what you know is good for you and to do those things. And you just need a little bit of a reminder. So if you're in that situation, you possibly know a lot of these things, what you could be doing, what you should be doing. But maybe just because of where you're at and the situation you're in, when you're in something, sometimes we're our worst patient, or we just don't do it. So to bring down bring down inflammation, keep the inflammation out of our bodies, what we need to do is, first of all, don't put inflammatory foods in. So remove all the inflammatory foods from your body. Now, in this group, we talk about we're not restricting foods, and we're not telling you can never eat something, right? But when we're trying to dive into something that's got a specific outcome for it, and there's something that we know is hindering our progress or where we are, then that is prudent to just pull that out, right? And give our bodies a rest. So things like gluten, soy, dairy, salt, sugars, artificial sugars too, those are a biggie. Coffee, alcohol, things like that. We want to pull those things out of our daily diet. So, and then that's going to really help with your internal inflammation. So it's pretty much the same sort of foods that we pull out if we are, getting started with our Fit and 4, and we're doing our first 4 weeks of getting started on the program. Or maybe you've gone on a trip, you've come back, and you want to kind of do a little reboot thing. You are on a cruise, and you sampled all the things, and you're just feeling like, yeah, maybe I just need to go back to the basics here and just do a little, let my body have a little rest and do a detox. So you'd want to pull out all those inflammatory foods, right? And so that really helps. The other thing to help keep the body going and keep that inflammation low is to hydrate. If you are dehydrated, you're putting an enormous amount of stress on your body. And people say sometimes, well, you don't want to drink too much water. You can, that's not good for you either. A healthy kidney can handle up to a liter of water every half an hour. Nobody's going to drink that much. I mean, even if you tried to drink that much, that would be way too much. There's no way where any of us here are going to drink that much. So more is better if you just go with that. I mean, have a cup of hot water or something like that when it's cold outside, or have your water bottle full of your cold water, or your water with your slices of lemon or lime or orange or some berries or cucumber and mint or whatever it is that you like, that will give you that flavor that makes you want to keep coming back to it so that you will stay hydrated. Now, a little tip, as soon as you're starting to feel thirsty, you're already a little bit dehydrated. Okay, so just be aware of that. Your cells, think of them as grapes, nice and plump and juicy. And then when they get dried out, they look like raisins, right? So think about that in your body. Do you want to be a grape or do you want to be a raisin? I say be grape. So think about that. So you want to put all that water in on a daily basis. It also helps to flush out the toxins, which are inflammatory. If you've got toxins sitting in your system, they're not flushing out. So maybe some bloat, some waste. Little fun fact here, not so fun, but our bodies can hold 2 to 10 pounds of waste sitting in your colon. And if you're not hydrating, if you're not putting those fluids in, the body is not going to be eliminating as it should. Okay, now there's some natural supplements that we can definitely add and put in to help fill our gaps in those areas. But, those are not going to work. They're not going to be as effective if you are like a quart low, so to speak, right? The old expression. So making sure that you're putting all that in. So pulling the inflammatory foods out, hydrating, eating clean whole foods in our balanced PFC way. Okay, that's super important, because if we're only eating, say, just the carbohydrate food, just our fruits and vegetables, those are good quality foods. But in and of itself, by itself, it's going to spike your blood sugar, which is not only going to make you store fat. And if you're, not feeling well, that's not going to help you. If you've got some other health goals to lose weight, it's not going to help you in the long run. If you're looking to build muscle at the gym and you're recovering, that's not going to help you. So it also brings the inflammation up again. So we want to make sure that we're having our proteins, fats, and carbs together every 3 to 4 hours throughout the day, right? So that it helps to keep everything in line. It helps to keep your metabolism going, and all your body systems are not fighting each other. They're working synergistically together. So that brings down your internal inflammation. There's a lot of things that we can't control on the outside coming at us, our environment, what's in the air, maybe sometimes the air quality where you work or the conditions that you work in. My husband's a mechanic. Very toxic, right? He can't control that environment, but you can control what you put in your body and how you choose to flush out the toxins that happen on a daily basis. Okay. So pulling out inflammatory foods, making sure that you're hydrating, then making sure you're putting in the good foods in a way that's going to balance you. So your PFCs every 3. Sleep is very important for recovery. So of course, we all know that we sleep more when we're not feeling well, right? And that's our body's way of saying, hey, I need to rest. So please listen to that. Okay. If you're trying to push through, it's you think it's very noble. I got to get this work done. I got to show up. But if it's only prolonging your sickness or prolonging your recovery, is it really doing you a service? Is it really worth it to do that? To go down that road, right? If it's going to keep you longer where you're at, I don't think so. And that goes true for recovery too. I found personally, when I was recovering from injury, that I needed 2 hours more of sleep every night. So if I didn't get those extra hours at nighttime, I needed to lay down in the afternoon and have a nap. I was just exhausted. And it was my body telling me, hey, we are recovering. Your body recovers and repairs when you sleep. So it would just stand to reason that if you're recovering from something, if you're healing from something, you need to put those things in. And so recently, some of you may have noticed, I had surgery on my face there. I'm fine. Thank you for all those wonderful people who, messaged and wished me well. I am fine. But there was it was quite and it turned out to be a little bit more major than I thought. And so again, because I know that this is a healing process here, it wasn't really physically taxing as much as a car accident, but it did actually zap my energy. And I did, and I did do the anti-inflammatory protocol because now my body is focusing on healing, and it wants to send extra stem cells. Stem cells are healing cells. It wants to send them to the place where it requires healing. But our body is also does what we need to keep us alive first. So whatever you're doing, whatever you're putting in or whatever you're not putting in, right? If you're pulling out the bad things, all those things that you're doing to support your body will go first to wherever your body, wherever is essential to keep you alive, basically. So honestly, repairing my skin is not high on the list of my body's priority as far as keeping me alive on this planet. Right? I mean, it needs to send the nourishment to my brain, my heart, my lungs, my digestive, all of those kinds of things before it's going to send it to heal my surgery. Right now, it's going to heal on the inside to make sure that it's not getting infected and bleed and all that kinds of stuff. It's going to sort of repair there, but it's not going to go as fast. It's not going to do as well if I am not nourishing my body properly, if I'm not pulling out the inflammatory foods, and if I'm not hydrating enough or getting enough rest, not overdoing it at the gym. That's another thing, because if your body's in that healing mode and you're putting demands on it, like big demands, like going to the gym or working those extra long hours or, taking on a new project, all of those things are going to increase your stress level because you're feeling tired, increase the inflammation level in your body because your body's fighting to recover, and it's going to be a slower process. So here's a thought to think about. This one kind of relates to if you've had an injury or something could have been at the gym, could have been in a car accident, could have been wherever, and you kind of heal mostly, and then you get stuck at a spot. Right? Have you ever done that? And you're like, okay, I'm almost there. And it just won't move. It just won't budge anymore. That's your body telling you that, what you're giving me, I don't have enough to finish the job. I only have enough to keep you alive, to give to all the essential parts. And I'm sorry, that part, you're still living, you're still walking around breathing, you're doing okay. I'm not giving you anything over there because I need it for all the essentials over here. So that's kind of a little indicator if you're having trouble healing, if things are taking an extra long time, that you that one of those things is not lining up correctly. That, okay, so all the inflammatory things. So you need to focus on your anti-inflammatory protocol. So again, what is that? First of all, removing all the inflammatory foods, right? Your gluten, soy, dairy, sugars, artificial sugars, coffee, and alcohol. All of those things are toxins. And they cause inflammation. They can cause toxicity or inflammation, or they are a toxin. So pull them all out. There we go. Increase your water consumption, your clean water, get some good clean water in there. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. And put in the good foods in a balanced way. So your balanced proteins, fats, and carbs, your whole single ingredient foods, right? Nothing that comes in a wrapper. It's got to come in its own wrapper. And then and you can use your high quality food-based supplements to fill in the gaps, because we all have gaps in our nutrition. And especially if you've been injured or recovering from something and you are feeling, that you just need to be a lot of time laying down, resting or sitting or taking, small breaks throughout the day, you might not be feeling up to cooking something or whatever. So then get people to help you, or, and also, just, when you have some good supplements on hand, then you can have, like, say, a clean protein shake as one of your meals to keep you on track. It's not heavy if you haven't been doing much, and it keeps your blood sugar stable. And of course, you don't have to cook, right? It's just really quick and simple. So that's another good tip out there for you guys. And then the last one would be, make sure you get that extra rest, because your body heals. It's healing and repairing when you're sleeping. It's interesting. I was chatting with a few people at the gym every now and again, and it's happened more than once with different people. This one of the guys there, I call it our morning tribe. Okay. We have same people that show up at the same time at the gym every morning. So one of the guys in our morning tribe, he was just saying to me the one day, he's like, oh man, I just feel like I'm dragging it today. I'm just dragging my butt today. And I said, oh, really? you okay? He goes, yeah, and then I said, so, and he's, he lifts pretty heavy and everything. And I said, hey, so what did you have before you came here? Like, did you eat anything before you came? He's like, no, I know it's probably not a good idea, right? I mean, I probably should have eaten something. And I said, oh my gosh, absolutely. Do you do that often? He goes, well, sometimes, yeah, when I'm in a hurry, and then I notice that I don't have as much energy. So that was a really good opportunity for us to have a little back and forth about, why you're needing to eat within that first hour. Blood sugar drops, body's burning muscle. Now, if he's coming to the gym to build muscle, it is counterproductive for him to miss that first meal and start burning muscle when he's putting demands on his body, right? So we had a little talk about that. Now he's educated and he's like, oh my goodness, right. Okay. You're totally right. I'm going to make time for that. And so again, making time doesn't mean that you have to, take the whole kitchen apart and make a gourmet breakfast. You can simply grab a shake. I always grab a shake first thing in the morning because I'm up at 5 o'clock and nobody wants to start banging around in the kitchen, or nobody else wants me to start banging around in the kitchen. Let's put it that way. So I quickly grab a shake and I drink that while I do my morning reading, and then I'm off to the gym and I'm fueled. And then when I come back, I have my whole fueled meal. So we talked about that kind of a thing for him so that he can now stay fueled. And so checked in with him, a couple times, a couple days later, a week later. And yeah, sure enough, he's now eating before he comes to the gym and he's feeling a whole lot better. And same with a gal yesterday. I saw her, we see each other every morning. It seems like we have the same sort of a body part weight workout. It's almost kind of funny. We were chuckling about that yesterday. And so we're, getting changed, ready to leave. And she's pulls out this shaker bottle and she's, drinking like she has a purpose, like it wasn't her water bottle. And I said, oh, you brought your breakfast. Good on you. And she goes, no, that's later. So I guess she was just finishing her water. And I said, oh, okay. So I said, did you eat something before you came? And she goes, no, I do that, kind of when I get to work. And I said, oh, really? So then we got to have that same conversation. And so we talked a little bit about blood sugar and what happens when your blood sugar drops and that you're burning muscle. So which I, was just asking her a few questions, and then it got into the fact where I said, well, did you know that, if you're going to be burning some muscle when you're not eating because you're putting demands on your body. And so what that does then is she's here to build muscle. And so she may be building some, but she's burnt some before she showed up. So she's kind of treading water. She's not really gaining any ground. Right. So when I gave her that little treading water visual there, she's like, yeah, no, I totally see that. It totally makes sense. And so, just thinking about that, sometimes people don't realize that those things are essential for our body, for our muscles, whether we're recovering from being ill, whether we're recovering from a hard gym workout, whether we're preventing muscle loss, all of these things we put together. And so this whole anti-inflammatory protocol is really foundational for a lot of the pieces in our lives, in our daily lives, but really key for if we're healing from sickness, if we're healing from an injury, and if we're healing from or recovering after the gym. And it also, I want to also add there, when I say healing from sickness, I also want to include in there disease, so something that's been hounding you or plaguing you for a while. So maybe like arthritis, or maybe diabetes, or maybe high cholesterol or hypertension, all those kinds of things. The anti-inflammatory protocol, pulling those things out, replacing with the single ingredient foods and filling your gaps, increasing your water, having more sleep, all of that kind of stuff is going to allow your body to balance, and it's going to allow you to recover, right? Because lifestyle diseases, all of those ones I just mentioned, come on because of things that we've done in our lifestyle or not done. So when we can reverse that, and we start doing those things that serve us, take out the inflammation, hydrate, nourish our body at a cellular level properly in a balanced way, get enough rest, manage our stress, all of those things, our body can now recover. And as it rolls back to where it was, it might not go all the way back to where it was, but it's certainly going to make a noticeable and marked improvement as you keep going and as you keep trusting the process. And I do know several people now, seniors even, who are healthier now than they were 20, 30 years ago. And I'm 54. I know that I'm healthier and stronger than I was at 24 or 34. So it's totally possible. And I love that. And I mean, that even comes after having those 2 car accidents and after having, you know, maybe done some few things at the gym that I've had to recover from. So I just want to throw that out there today and talk about the healing and the recovery, and maybe what you're doing might not be serving you. I mean, I hope it is that you're doing a lot of these great things already, because here in this group, we have a lot of people who have dove into their PFCs and are living that lifestyle. But if you're new, or if you know somebody that this might affect them, you know, for them, do let them know. And like, you know, introduce us. Maybe I'd love to have a chat with them and give them a free consult, and we'll have a little chat about their PFCs and how they can start optimizing what they're doing to help them with healing or recovery or their health and weight goals, whatever that may be, and we can get them on the right track. So thanks for tuning in today and watching Fit Nutrition Podcast. Like I said, let me know where you're watching from. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. Later, I'll come back and look. I can't do it as we're going live here. I am not quite that organized, but I will come back definitely and take a look and answer any questions that you have. So join me next week, next Wednesday again. And oh, one more thing I forgot to add here. I'm just going to tag it on. Hopefully you've seen the recipe contest post that I posted yesterday. So all over the month of February, you guys, submit your PFCs, submit those recipes that you love. Tell me why it's PFC balanced. Post it and get your name in the draw for some great prizes. I'm going to be giving away some prizes at the end of the month for those who participate. Every entry, every recipe you enter and post and send in, that's going to get you another entry into the draw. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be a grab and go. It can be a gourmet meal. It can be a smoothie, a new smoothie recipe. It can be, you know, whatever it is that you, however you PFC, take a picture of it, write that recipe down, post it, and tag me in it. So check the featured pin posts up there. You'll see all the rules for the contest. And I'm super excited for this month of February. February is Heart Month. Hearts, things we love. We love our PFCs here, right? So how do you love your PFCs? Show me in recipes. Post them, tag me. Love to see them. So thanks again for watching, you guys. See you next week, next Wednesday on Fit Nutrition Podcast.